I want to hit one other quick story today. Called it Leftist Start Enemies List. This is almost unbelievable. I sent to Matt the Wonderful, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, shockingly a member of the United States House of Representatives, an actual avowed socialist, one of the four squad. She tweeted out, and there were actually two in a row, and it doesn't matter which order. She tweeted out something, and then what I sent Matt as actually the response by someone right beneath it. So if you can put the first one up of those, Matt, for the screen for our happy listeners. So look at the top first. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweets out, "Is anyone archiving these Trump sycophants for when they try to downplay or deny their complicity in the future? I foresee decent probability of many deleted tweets, writings, photos in the future." And then someone on the conservative side puts downplay or deny complicity in the future. Is that a threat? Like when your Marxist fantasy comes true and you try to throw us in jail for having an opinion? Give me a break. And another really good response, same tweet from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The other person, Lisa Booth, just puts, "Archive this, you are insane." But on a very serious note, people, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, openly Democrat socialist, no argument there, openly supported Bernie Sanders, very much wants, if the Biden team succeeds in this stealing this election and becomes the president, she, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, says, you know what, you got to have Bernie Sanders. He has to have a very top, very big position in your administration. Other radical leftists, Elizabeth Warren, Senator Warren's pushing for a position in the Biden administration. America will soon see, in the first 2 years, if we get to this point, soon see just how radically leftist the Democrat Party has become. They cannot pass anything like mainstream, Main Street America legislation because that's not where they live ideologically. So when you see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, now I don't know whether she's actually so out of touch with reality that she actually thinks the Trump administration, she's making an analogy, as you probably can tell, to the Holocaust. She's making an analogy to Trump as Hitler. So AOC is saying, you know, just like after Hitler was finally removed and the Holocaust was exposed, there are many, many people writing about that era in history saying everybody who was complicit, everybody who knew anything, anyone who supported Hitler in any way must never work again, must never be accepted in society again. That was a good idea in relation to Hitler and the Holocaust. It is pure insanity on the part of AOC. Pure insanity. If she added, so I don't know if she actually is insane and she actually sees those things as Trump like Hitler, or if this is just the way she understands to play the PSYOPs game in America, the psychological operation against the American people. She stirs up ignorant people to think that Trump, man, now maybe they think, I don't even know what Trump did. I'm not sure why she's saying that, but man, Trump must be bad because look what AOC is saying. She's saying that, you know, Trump supporters should be like Hitler supporters, but she's actually putting these things out there and pushing back. She's not, you know, saying, okay, that was kind of, I got carried away here. She's not saying that. She's talking about creating enemies lists. Anyone in government who in any way assisted the Trump administration. Anyone in government who did not push back and hate Trump at every moment like she pushed back and hated Trump. They are somehow to be punished. They are to be shown the door. They can never work again. They can't be in politics. This is what she's trying to say. She's thinking that people will be embarrassed for having supported the Trump administration. As she says, I foresee, like she's a big prophet, you know, deleting tweets, deleting emails, trying to pretend, oh, who me? I didn't do that. I have to tell you, folks, this is actually a real window, not just in how crazy AOC is, but it's a real window on how driven she is to eradicate from America anyone who opposes the socialist agenda she wants. What Donald Trump brought to America, whether you like his personality, hate his personality, love his tweets, hate his tweets, like his hair, hate his hair, whatever it is you think, Donald Trump restored love of America in the minds and hearts of millions of Americans. He validated love of America and today's America as a good and noble thing. He validated the idea that America is important enough to have enforceable borders, to actually need to have borders that are enforced. He validated the idea that we are not a socialist nation, that we're a nation rooted in freedom, and that's what we do, and that's who we are. He validated the idea that America has a noble and good history after 8 years of Obama apologizing about America, denigrating America, leaping as far as he could into the globalist agenda, diminishing the role and place of America in the world, and acting like America is just some other country, just like any other country, just like he said, I think it was, and the Greeks probably think Greece is a great place. Greece is exceptional. What Donald Trump did is get Americans to think again about why America is unique and great, and that is because of the founding ideas. It's not about race, it's not about skin color, it's not about ethnicity. It's the founding ideas of America in the Declaration of Independence, spelled out in beautiful, immortal language in the Declaration of Independence, carried forth, the spirit of that carried forth into the Constitution. And for literally 80 years or more, the American left in various ways has been chipping away at the cultural norm of America for American citizens to love America. It doesn't have anything to do with race, ethnicity, or national origin. Always the argument the left goes to, oh, this is just racist, old white guys formed a country. We're so post-constitutional, we're past all that. The ideas that formed America are what kept us safe. The concept of rights from God because you were born is a concept that prior to the founding of America had been written in the Bible, had been written by philosophers throughout history, but it had never been the basis of a country. That was the importance of the Declaration of Independence, that the very idea of America is springing from the recognition, not just that people here in this piece of geography on the dirt on the earth that are in America, but everyone, everywhere is actually endowed by their Creator with inalienable rights. This was a noble, mind-blowing, country-altering, world history-changing idea recognized in the Bible, coming from the Bible, and embraced by some philosophers, but for the first time, America made it as a founding idea of a country. That's what America did. And in this last 80 or so years, when leftists of various kinds, whether the communists who came to America, or the cultural Marxists, or the Gramsciites, you list all these groups in America, have been chipping away at the idea of the goodness of America. And we were so close to losing the whole thing, the whole idea of an America rooted in the rights of the individual to live in freedom, under the 8 years of Obama, as he worked in many, 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 many ways to undermine that idea, to seed the federal agencies with people who don't believe in that idea about America, for people who think that globalism is a better answer. And America's founding ideas, they're great, but hey, so are the founding ideas of Islamic majority countries who found their country on Sharia. Hey, why aren't those equally valid? They're not. They're not equally valid. Many of countries in this world found their founding ideas that created the culture of government, the culture of their society, are ideas, they're lesser values, lesser ideas, worse ideas than the ideas that founded America. That's what Donald Trump brought to the fore again in America. Love of America. And that is why the left hates him so much. That is why Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez would go off on some idiotic enemies list mission, because when someone like Donald Trump reinstates love of America, belief in the rights of individuals to live in freedom, that you have rights from God because you were born to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that the Bill of Rights are not just a bunch of rights that maybe you have, maybe you don't. Well, let's know next year if you can still keep them or not. Those are rights. Those are the spelling out of the idea of rights from God because you were born from the Declaration. It's just spelling out, the filling out of those rights. And no one who believes they have those rights is going to live and going to accept the Marxist, mindset, the Marxist mission that AOC has accepted. What the left is pushing for, and Biden, I don't care how much he looks like, an American statesman with silver hair and, a twinkle in his eye, all the things people say about him, he is right down the path with this Marxist agenda. And no one who loves the freedom of America, understands America, could ever embrace what Biden and AOC and Bernie Sanders and the left are going to bring to this country. They are fundamentally inconsistent. Fundamentally inconsistent, incompatible. You can't have both. And this is why so many people are standing up for President Trump. It's not personal for him. It's not like he personally is the one person ever who has been a good president or put good policies forth. What people love about him is that he reignited love of America. And this is why so many people are on the ground fighting in every possible state where there's still a question of who won the election. In every state, it's why people are on the ground fighting, because they want that America that is being protected by the Trump administration, and they do not want the America they can see coming under an Biden administration. So I will tell you, I got to wrap up, we're out of time here, but on the subject of AOC's tweet, she had out there, so right away, some idiotic group makes a website, the Trump Accountability Project, where they're basically memorializing the idea that everybody sign up and you turn people in. Anybody who supported Trump, they're out, they're toast, they're dead. And they run through the reasons why that people should do this. One reason they give is the idea because they put children, they separated children from their families. This is the border cage thing. Doesn't matter how many times people in Washington, even Democrats, have said, hey, wait a minute, Obama did that too. This is not a Trump thing. This is something AOC and the radical nutcases on the left recognize stir up the American people. They do these things because ignorant Americans actually think that Trump or other people working for him for no reason at all would separate children and their families, not recognizing this is what Obama did too, what you had to do at the border to figure out if these kids were being trafficked, as many of them were, by evil people, sex traffickers, human traffickers, or really they were, and who they were, and who their real parents were. Obama did it, no one said a word, Trump does it, and it's a reason that America should get behind the enemies list AOC wants to create. She's talking about his, the reasons they give are so idiotic, and it leads into my final point before I get to the first five. And I would just, the end of this show, that why it matters. But I want to make some really important point here, and I want you to think about this when you're watching your life, sitting down in the evening, relaxing, watching a game. If there are games on, you're allowed to watch. Doing your life. Recognize how much of America has been transformed in this last hysterical election year when the Democrats have been on fire to attack everything Donald Trump says. How much of America has been transformed into living out and playing out a lie. Living out lies, and we all just accept them. So, as many times as everyone points out, for example, Trump never said that white supremacists were good people too. Never said that. But the guy who's claiming he won the presidency launched his campaign on that lie, saying Trump said that. No matter how many times the audio gets played over and people realize, oh, he didn't say that. He was saying good people on both sides of the question, whether to keep in place or take down statues of people who were Southern leaders, Confederate leaders in the Civil War. There are legitimate people, serious thinkers on both sides of that question. That's all he said. But the left plants that lie in the minds of the American people. Biden repeats it as it says it's the reason he decided to run, which is not true. And AOC repeats it. Everyone in the left-wing media repeats it. It is like they plant a lie in the minds of the American people, and they say it, and they say it, and they say it, and everyone who knows the truth is just sitting home and saying, what are you doing? What are you talking about? But this is the lie. And the ignorant American voters who actually don't read, don't get the facts straight themselves, they think, well, if my good buddy so-and-so on ABC News said this, I guess it must be true. And so you have Americans led along by a lie that Trump's a racist because he said that white supremacy, and there's nothing to it. Nothing. It is a lie. Trump has done nothing that legitimizes anyone calling him a racist, ever. But it's like a given fact. This is what I mean. We live a lie. One last example, then I really go to my why it matters to you. Since this country and the entire world, sadly, had to deal with the Wuhan, Chinese Communist Party virus, the Wuhan virus, the China virus, we've had problems all over the world. We've had and sadness and death and suffering, and it's terribly sorry. I'm terribly sorry it happened, and I really hope that we get to the bottom of what they did in Wuhan, how it got here. But trust me, if Biden succeeds in pulling off stealing this election, we will never know the answer. Because China owns Biden, as we all learned from Hunter Biden's laptop. China owns China owns Biden. We're never going to find out what happened. He's not going to press. He's not going to ask. So we're stuck with that. But where we are in terms of living a lie today, so we have doctors in this country who have shared every conceivable place they can. They go onto television talk shows, anywhere they can be heard. They make videos. They go to Washington, the frontline doctors. They lay it out for America. They say, look, the virus is bad. Yeah, but it's not a big deal. Hydroxychloroquine works like a dream. This is a therapy that actually relieves the suffering and people get better. This is not the massive bubonic plague fatal pandemic that the media is trying to sell you. And as you heard from Dr. Simone Gold and others on my show and other shows too, masks don't stop the transmission of the virus. If you missed that on my show, go back to the day I interviewed Simone Gold. She said it all over the place. She's a doctor and a lawyer. She has nothing to gain. She's not invested in the vaccine companies like Fauci and gang. She has no intellectual or financial interest in having America understand that hydroxychloroquine works to heal, to treat people who have COVID, and their suffering goes away. We had Dr. Richard Bartlett from Midland, Texas, here telling you that inhaled budesonide, a steroid, a treatment for asthma, literally relieves within hours the struggles people have who are struggling with COVID and having a hard time breathing. He goes everywhere. He tries to tell people, we don't have to panic. We don't want ventilators. They're actually killing people. Inhaled budesonide is very effective and very safe. Budesonide and hydroxychloroquine share a couple of common traits. They've been around forever. The patent is long gone, so no one makes any money when they're prescribed, and they have been tested and they're safe. And so you have that reality, and yet you have the Biden administration, if we're to be such an evil thing, I hate saying those words, but the Biden team already promising day one, mask mandates, social distancing mandates, shut down America again. I mean, and even when you have the vaccine now magically ready after the election is over, but still we have to have mask mandates and no talk of these actual therapies that work. People, we're allowing ourselves to live a lie. You sit at home and you watch basketball games, football games, and everyone's standing there with little masks on, even though, as Dr. Gold told us, and she provided the research, you can go read it yourself, masks don't stop the COVID microbe. It's too tiny. The masks do nothing. They do not stop the spread of this disease. She's saying it, doctors around the country saying it, and yet we are living this lie. The media tells us, oh yeah, gotta have mask mandate. Biden is saying it, and America nods along. And the danger is, it's not just that we're living with unnecessary regulation with masks and social distancing and track and trace. It is that we're losing the fundamental notion that America is a country founded on liberty, and that we do not mindlessly accept radical government intervention and control and taking away of our freedom, especially when the more we know about it, the less and less justified the takeaway of freedom is. It is a crazy time in America, but the best thing the American people can do is inform themselves so next time you understand, you hear that there's yet another demand for a mask mandate and increased masks and more control over you and more, that you have the facts, that you challenge your legislators, you challenge your local officials, Because what you're being conditioned for, this Marxist end of America as founded, end of America the free, home of the brave, requires people to lose that spirit of freedom, to lose that spirit of self-reliance, to lose that concept that we don't live in a government-controlled, totalitarian society. We're supposed to be America, founded on liberty. That, my friends, is the biggest issue in this election, is whether the American people have been conditioned so that we simply no longer question, no longer call into doubt what the leftists in this world are doing to us, especially in our precious country, taking away our liberty and taking away even the concept that we as individual Americans can think for ourselves, can research for ourselves, can find information for ourselves, and make our own decisions. We're headed toward a very, very dark time in American history if the Biden-Harris team succeeds in being inaugurated on January 21st. We are headed toward a very dark time. All of you need to be praying for this country and doing what you can to get the last battle we have, beside the battles going on in these various states, which we don't know how those are going to come out, but it's a battle to hold on the U.S. Senate, because that's the battle, that is the backstop for liberty against the tyranny and totalitarian Marxist agenda the Biden-Harris team is bringing your way.